Hello, how are you guys?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well, I'm well. Looks like you're at the beach.
Yes, I am.
All right. So, I know that you started Robinson Crusoe and you also are reading a different book. So tell me about what you're reading.
Robinson Crusoe or the other book?
Well, let's start with the other book.
Okay, the other book that I'm reading is called Percy Jackson. It's about this demigod boy who's the son of Poseidon. And in the book that I'm on right now, I'm on the second book. Um, he's in the Sea of Monsters, and he has to rescue his friend named Grover. He's a satyr. I don't really know how to pronounce it. Um, but there's a big cyclops called, and I don't really know how to pronounce his name, but like Polymetheus or something like that. Um, and he thinks Grover is a lady cyclops, and he wants to marry Grover. So Percy and his friend Annabeth, who's a demigod and the daughter of Athena, has to go rescue him.
Got it. And this is book two of how many? Do you know how many books are in the series?
I think there's 5.
Do you want to read all 5?
Yeah.
So it sounds like it's pretty compelling that the story. Do you know what a plot is? The plot of a
Like maybe something tricky happens.
doesn't need to be tricky, but basically the plot is this happens and then this happens and this happens. So when we talk about stories, we can talk about the plot, which is what happens. We can also talk about the characters. So some stories are really good because the plot, what happens gets you all excited and engaged. Sometimes it's more about the characters. You just love these characters. And sometimes maybe it's about other things like the writing. Maybe the writing is really good. So
Yeah.
with those distinctions in mind, would you say that Percy Jackson is great because of the plot, or because of the characters, or because of the writing, or because of all three?
I like it because of the plot. Like a lot of interesting and fun things happen.
Got it. Does it make you want to keep reading every time?
Oh yeah, like it's very, very interesting.
Do you know what a cliffhanger is?
Like you leave someone off like a very interesting part, then you stop.
Exactly. So sometimes authors will have in the chapter with something that is just so exciting, you can't wait to get to the next chapter because you want to know what happened. Does
Yeah.
Percy Jackson use cliffhangers like that?
I don't think so.
Okay. But the story is interesting enough you want to keep going, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So tell me about Robinson Crusoe, what you've read so far. Was it interesting, not interesting?
It's actually pretty interesting. So they're living like I kind of forget where, but so they're on a ship going somewhere, but like a storm, like a big storm, it actually I think damages their boat.
And
And I think that's where I am.
okay, got it. Is it very difficult to read or not so hard?
It's not so hard, but the pages are big.
Got it. And do you usually read 2 or 3 books at once, or usually read just one book at a time? How do you read?
Usually 2 or 3, at least series or books at once. Because when I was
Okay,
reading Harry Potter, um, like I was also kind of reading Percy Jackson at the same time.
got it. So in addition to Percy Jackson and Robinson Crusoe, are you reading anything else?
Yeah, I'm rereading a lot of books, like this book called Who Stole the Dragon's Code. I didn't really know if you've heard about it, but there's a series of books named after a mouse, like a little like mouse. His name is Geronimo Stilton. Dee Stilton is his sister, and they go on like all these different adventures in different parts of the world and stuff.
Fantastic. That sounds really cool. How much time per day would you say you read? Do you spend half an hour a day reading, an hour a day reading, 2 hours a day reading?
I actually don't know because I read on and off all day.
Okay. So maybe you like pick a book up for 20 minutes or half an hour and then you go and play and then you come back later in another 30 minutes, something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
Do you ever do days when you just sit and read for hours and hours?
Um, I don't really think that's happened for hours and hours, but it could
Okay.
happen.
That makes sense. I think reading is so much fun, and it's also good that you're so active and athletic. Are you going to body surf today, or real surf, or what are you going to do at the beach?
I have a mini soft top surfboard that I'm gonna practice standing up on.
Wow. Can you already stand up on it, kind of?
I can.
I would think it's hard. Isn't it hard?
Well, sometimes the balance is kind of hard. Like you have to put your feet in the center, not just like on the rails. Because if you do, it'll flip
Yeah.
over. Like too much pressure or weight will be on one side, so it'll tumble you.
Yeah. Do you know that there's some things where it's much better to learn when you're young? And I think balancing on a surfboard is one of those things where it's much better to learn when you're young. So
Oh
you
yeah,
are going to have a huge advantage over older people because I think at your age, you're much better at balancing. Does that seem likely?
yeah,
All right. Well, in which case, I just wanted to explore the reading, and I love hearing how you read and what you're thinking about when you read. Um, do you think about the things you read when you're not reading?
um, sometimes like, hey, ooh, I really don't hope that this character don't get to a trap by that character or something like that when I'm not reading.
Got it. So it sounds like the story stays with you. I'm going to let you
Yeah.
go surf. Have a great day next week.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye.